Hello, guys. Welcome to Rex Arthur TV. This is the Rex Arthur Show. And we are here on discussing LGBTQ issues with an LGBTQ perspective and humanistic approach. And we're going to start a new system that is going to be Rex Arthur's Facebook, and this is from my Facebook page. And we'll be watching Facebook, what is on my feed, if it's something interesting, and we discuss it. And of course, I know intellectual property hasn't come up with discussing the importance of doing such, because sometimes, someone may say that how legal is it to broadcast a Facebook post? And I'm not aware that this is my account, so it is my freedom. I am free to do whatever I want to do with it. I can publicize what I'm discussing, and so that's what I'm going to do. So today, the rise of young politicians. So this is a very interesting interview I saw, and I want to discuss it today because it's a run up to what I discussed. Those who remember what I was I talked about Bobby Wine, Julius Malema, and Nelson Chamisa, and the African youth dynamic. And this is also now a big story from Nigeria, because that time we were talking about Eastern and Southern Africa. But now Nigeria also has very many young people, and so we're going to read through. Now let's read my comments first. The rise of young politicians is a big trend in Africa that those with eyes should not ignore. Just like the colonialists that ruled Africa for roughly 60 years after independence of African countries, a new crop of leaders is arising. It seems government systems in Africa undergo changes in periodical or cyclical ways after 60 years roughly, like 1900 to 1960 to 2020. He is a hunk too, laugh out loud. And I was winking. Yeah, so my comment was, I notice a trend when I'm seeing young people rising. Most of Africa was colonized around 1900. Then most of Africa became independent 60 years after the colonization. 60 years after the colonization. Then, the next 60 years of African independence, most countries in Africa are going to be 60 years plus or less by 2020. And this is what's happening. Young people who are tech savvy, who are very educated, who speak English, because in 1900 Africa, that is colonial Africa, 1900 colonial Africa, most of the black Africans could not even speak English. They couldn't even write in English. But post-colonial Africa, 1960, 60 years later, not only did the Africans now know how to write English or read English, they were able to lead and to work in the offices, and they removed the white colonialists out of power. And then 60 years later, 2020, where we're going now, we're already in 2020, because when you round off 2015, we're already in the decade of 2020. It means that now we have young people who are globalized. They not only know English, some of them even know foreign languages. Some of them even talk like Americans. Like, you're going to listen to this Nigerian. He doesn't even sound African. And if you hear his father, he can't talk like him. And 60 years later, these are the ones rising up. Very smart. I mean, he's on CNN. Can you imagine? CNN. and it's a young black African who is talking to the world. And now we want to listen to him and see. And that's what I'm saying. So it seems like there's a cycle: 1900, 1960, 2020, 60, 60. So Africa is always going through a change every 60 years. And its history has always been 60 years, 60 years. And now we are entering the third 60. The first 60 years was the 60 years of colonization. Then the second 60 was 60 years of independence, where most African countries have really not come out from the throes of colonialism, and they're trying to destroy the colonial relics and colonial thinking. And I believe in 2020, the next 60, Africa will become new, and the colonial mindset is now completely dying off. Why? Because the people who were born during independence are going to begin to leave the world from 2020 to 2030. Because by 2030 they'll be 80, they'll be 90 years old. And that is very significant. It means the colonial mindset is disappearing. Now let's listen to Sachet. Is this Sachet? I forget her name. As they talk.
For instance, I'm 35, and we know 2/3 of the population is actually under 35. So by default, I represent over 60% of the population. That's one. Two, the current president was the same president the year I was born, 35 years ago.
Me too.
Oh, look at that, right? So it's sort of asking, or rather driving into an AI future with analog systems, right? Not even digital. So it's important that the future of the nation is driven by someone who understands the needs of the people, the needs of the young people, because 20 years from now, we'll be the ones in the workforce still.
Okay, but that's not enough. You mentioned that there are a huge number of Nigerians that are young. I'm Nigerian. Should I run for president too? Obviously, Buhari was also president when I was born as well.
Right.
Obviously, there has to be something more that you're bringing to the table.
Sure, there's a whole lot more, right? So, like I did say, there are three things, three pillars that I'm running on. That's tech, education. For instance, I'm 35, and we know an AI future with analog systems, right? Not even digital. So it's important that the future of the nation is driven by someone who understands the needs of the people, the needs of the young people, because 20 years from now, we'll be the ones in the workforce still.
Okay, but that's not enough. You mentioned that there are a huge number of Nigerians that are young. I'm Nigerian. Should I run for president too? Obviously, Buhari was also president when I was born as well.
Right.
Obviously, there has to be something more that you're bringing to the table.
Sure, there's a whole lot more, right? So, like I did say, there are three things, three pillars that I'm running on. That's tech, education, is driven by someone who understands the needs of the people, the needs of the young people, because 20 years from now, we'll be the ones in the workforce still.
Okay, but that's not enough. You mentioned that there are a huge number of Nigerians that are young. I'm Nigerian. Should I run for president too? Obviously, Buhari was also president when I was born as well.
Right.
Obviously, there has to be something more that you're bringing to the table.
Sure, there's a whole lot more, right? So, like I did say, there are three things, three pillars that I'm running on. That's tech, education.
You mentioned that there are a huge number of Nigerians that are young. I'm Nigerian. Should I run for president too? Obviously, Buhari was also president when I was born as well.
Right.
Obviously, there has to be something more that you're bringing to the table.
Sure, there's a whole lot more, right? So, like I did say, there are three things, three pillars that I'm running on. That's tech, education. Sure, there's a whole lot more, right? So, like I did say, there are three things, three pillars that I'm running on. That's tech, education.
Okay, so that is the video, and what we want to see is the comments that people were saying. And George Mwokoro, I'm supporting youths regardless of his or her age. Age has nothing to do with experience. This guy is not just quality, he is a leader with vision and mental and technical know-how. It is his type that can deliver Nigeria. I'm with you, guy. Go all the way. Youth for 2019. Blessing Umunadi Chuku. I love this. Please, I will vote for you. Great move, I must say. Carlos Drenthe. I think it's time for a change. Change will be good for Nigeria. Maybe he can stop the corruption that has been stifling the growth of the country. It will be a change from old politics to young progression. I don't know. I'm outside looking in. Pick sense out of nonsense. And another one has said here, Chima Michael Ota. Cool. But why am I or are we getting to know this through CNN? I've never heard of this guy in Nigeria, and I'm in the federal capital. It's cool, Sha. Now old men they rush us. There you are. And he also got laughter for that. Yes, that's a very funny joke. Now let's see Honorable Talks Ankitan. It's about time we get rid of these old cabals and take Nigeria back from them. Buhari, OBJ, Tinubu, Saraki, Atiku, etc. are all pests sucking our milk and honey dry while masses suffer in poverty. They have nothing to offer us than to treat us like slaves. Enough is enough. Let's stop voting for APC, PDP, and all the affiliated parties and go a new direction. This guy here is smart. Sowore, Durotoye are candidates ready to die for the masses. Let's support them and send all these slave masters to hell where they belong. For decades, we've been suffering enough. Would this be any worse than the current situation? David Burns is asking. And Rufaro Mahahadzi, what do you think? Or someone, Thomas St. Julian, is asking his friend what he thinks. Good, very good. I pray he win. You have our vote. Good fighting. The greedy grandpas. He should run for Senate or House of Representatives. Start there and learn the government you want to change. He should learn for Barack Obama. I think I agree with Victor. Yes. I think this is the best way for young people. Young people need to start from the smallest level. I mean, Obama even started as a community organizer. He was not even known by the other states of America. And then he grew, so he kind of matured, and then he became a senator. And after then becoming a senator, he became president. So I think it can happen that you can even not go through what Obama went through and become president. But normally, I know Tim Cook doesn't like the word normal, but usually you are supposed to start from the from the grassroots, from the lower level, because politics is very conk. You see, like Trump is not a politician like Obama. And if you've noticed, Trump is struggling to be a politician in the White House, but he's not struggling to be an economist in the White House because he's a businessman. He knows money, and even if you look at Trump's policies, they are always based on the money issues. They are not based on political issues. Obama was very political because of his history. He was in the community. He was in church. He was like a social worker, and he was then he became a senator. So he had to get in touch with people, know what affects the people, and now he knew how to deal with people. But Trump is not necessarily a politician, because he's all about money and products. And so that can affect how you do things. Look at Trump's administration. The highest number of sacked people in the history of the White House has been in Trump's presidency. Sackings and resignations. Why? He's not an administrator. He's a businessman. Businessmen, when it comes to administration, they sack people who don't give them what they want, or people who can't agree with them, they leave. But when you notice Obama's administration, Obama never, I never, it was very rare. Only two generals I think left, and the rest. But the White House administration. Nobody resigned, and neither was anybody sacked for the 10 years. And maybe I think that's why there's a problem in the White House now. It is because because there was 10 years of an Obama administration, and Trump is not even 5 years old, and he's trying to weed out the system and how things were run there because he's a different type of president. Anyway, that was just a good comment that made us talk a lot. Let's go to a few others. And look at this one. He's so happy. Oh wow, boy. Oh wahala for you now. Bona soka sabi mini. The fat cats of Nigeria will finish you now. Yaromara cow. They are just here making their jokes. And the beauty of Facebook, people are still writing and commenting. Good. And there he is. As we said, he's a hunk, very handsome. But I know he's not gay. He hasn't said he is straight. So we will give him the liberty to be himself, and we will not impose. When you look at beauties in the eyes of the beholder, I'm the beholder now. Thank you. Now, so basically what I just wanted to say was this is a good sign to show you what is happening in Africa. What I discussed was not fiction. It is a reality. Young people want to engage. But as I said, it's the other people, it's not a problem of young people. It's overpopulation. We're just too many. So there are too many potential leaders. And with technology, even old people are not dying. Yes. If there was no technology and healthcare, this issue of young would not be an issue in Africa because the old people would die, would have been dead by now. I mean, look at life expectancy in Africa. It has risen over the years because of healthcare. In the past, some countries in Africa, the life expectancy was 40 years old. If you pass 40, I always say if you pass 40 years old and it's the life expectancy, you are the living dead. You're alive, but statistically you're dead because no one should be living past 40 according to the life expectancy rate. But now it has been measured up to 60, about 64 in Africa, meaning life is getting better, healthcare is there, people can be on medication in case they have a disease, because it's mostly diseases that kill people. And what does that mean? That means old people will be able to continue working, but on the other hand, young people will come in and they will need to work. So Africa's problem is there is lack of jobs. We need jobs. Africa needs jobs. It needs opportunities. It needs a lot of investment. We are even crying. We're even crying for investors to come to Africa. So look at Tony Igwe. He's running for president. What do you think, y'all? And people gave their views. Oh, look at this one. Has time to write. My God. They need to pay people for, for all this time of writing. Goodness. Anyway, that's what we wanted to show you about this Nigerian who is running for president because of his age, and he has potential. And as I've told you, the problem we're having is that there are very many young people, and then at the same time old people are able to live. Like Buhari. I mean, Buhari is here, he's alive because of good health care. You see? And the funny thing, the guy said Buhari was president when he was born, and Buhari became president when he was young. So it makes sense. That's why I am a supporter of term limits. Don't put somebody in presidency. I mean, that can't even happen. What Buhari did is unbelievable. that you can come back to power again. After 3 decades of being in, after 3 decades before which you're in power. And then there's some negative people here, they'll just kill this guy. No, they won't kill him. I mean, there's no point of killing. It's just, I mean, people who kill others are very petty and they don't understand. Just go and have elections. If the person wins because of his youth, well and good. But I can encourage the young man, that he has to be very willing to have times of losing, because that's life. You will lose. And you need money. Again, you see, politics is very interesting. We are going to have another post. It's going to be a Twitter. And this is our Rex Arthur's Facebook. And then we'll have Rex Arthur's Twitter. We'll also have a playlist for this where we'll be going through what people are saying. We need to know what people are saying, not only what you are saying, because people are saying things. Otherwise, I just wanted to bring this out, that Nigerian young people are also rising. And this is a proof of what I said. The African youth dynamic is real.